everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a KL polish haul, swatch, and review, and I'm also going to show you guys dupes for some of these polishes. Now before we get started, I quickly want to talk about what I'm wearing on my nails. I am wearing a manicure using Cadillacquer's Sing Once Again With Me. This is one of the polishes from the Hollow Hookup. My accent nail is a rose decal, and I'll have all of the details on the how to make that rose decal on my Instagram at crazyblue1018. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. I've already kind of done an in-depth review on KL Polish itself as a brand with the very first launch, the very first collection that they did. So I will leave that video linked in the iCards. I talk about my thoughts on the bottle, the wand, the pricing, the shipping. I go in depth in that video. So today is just going to be focusing on her spring collection. Now, I normally don't do dupes for nail polish collections, but because this is a newer brand and because she for the most part does just cream polishes and not kind of unique glitter polishes, not that her colors aren't unique, and we'll get more into that later on in this video, but because she does have cream polishes, I do want to show you guys similar colors, or if there are exact dupes, just in case you are interested in purchasing any of these polishes and you don't really want to have a replicate color in your collection. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first polish I have here is called That's What She Said, and this is this gorgeous like copper penny polish. This was fully opaque in just one coat. I really like the formula of this polish. Absolutely great polish. Now I do have a dupe for you guys, and this is pretty much an exact dupe. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it on the color wheel, but this one is from Estee, and this one is called Essee's Penny Talk, and this one is an exact dupe, not only in color but also in formula. This one is also fully opaque on me in just one coat, and quite honestly I think the KL polish one is a little bit more brush strokey, because the problem with some of these metallic polishes is that you do have to kind of be careful with how you apply it, because you're going to see a lot of the brush strokes in there, and the KL polish has just a little bit more noticeable brush strokes than the Estee polish. The Estee one tends to kind of level itself out for the most part. Even with a top coat, some of those brush strokes still remained in the KL polish, but they're pretty comparable. I really wouldn't suggest one over the other. Sorry you guys, there's like this fuzz and I have like this itch. So the next polish in the collection is called Miss Honey, and this one is this really pretty nudie color. It has a little bit of like a pinky peachy undertone to it. Absolutely gorgeous nude. Definitely on my hands looks more like mannequin hands, but when this dries it does deepen up a little bit. So this one didn't have the best formula. This one took almost 3 coats to be fully opaque. You can kind of get away with 2 coats, but depending on how picky you are, you may want to do 3 coats with this one. The closest dupe I could find is from Butter London, and this is called Tea with the Queen. Now on the nail wheel you guys will see that Tea with the Queen tends to pull a little bit more brownie side, versus the KL polish has a little bit more like pink in there, so it's like a nudie pink as opposed to like a nudie brown. Hope that makes sense. So Tea with the Queen is a lot more neutral than the KL polish. This was the closest nude I could find to this polish. I have several nudes in my collection, and none of them quite had the same undertone as this or the same like color intensity as this. So they were either a lot darker of a nude or a lot lighter of a nude. Same thing goes for this next polish. This one is called Hug and Roll, and this is a gorgeous like pale pinky polish, but I'd say it pulls a little bit more on the lavender side. It has a very slight hint of purple in there. At first when I saw this I was like, oh, this is very similar to OPI's Mod About You, but it definitely pulls a little bit more on the purple side. So I tried to compare it to like the lightest pale pink polish that I have, and that's Teddy Girl. by Butter London. This is, if you guys know this polish, you guys know that this is a very, very light pale pink, but even this had too much pink in it. It actually looks like a pretty bright pink in comparison to the KL polish. Oh, I forgot to mention that the KL polish, this one took between 2 and 3 coats to be fully opaque. I would do 3 coats if you want a little bit more of an opaque polish, but for the most part, this had a really nice formula. And then the polish that I thought was the closest dupe to it, but it definitely has a little bit more of like a white base, so it's gonna kind of pop a little bit more, is from the OPI Hello Kitty collection, and this one is called Let's Be Friends. This one is a little bit closer of a dupe to it, but it definitely, like I said, has a little bit more of a white base to it, so it's going to be a little bit more intense. And this one leans a little bit more on like the baby pink side. So the KL polish is a pretty unique color because it does kind of, it's a light baby pink, but it leans more towards like the purple side. So then the next polish is actually my least favorite in the entire collection. And this one is called Coconut Milk. And I'm not sure, but I think this one is meant to be like a sheer polish. It's this white, off-white, kind of coconutty looking color. It doesn't have any shimmer or anything in it, but this one definitely took me 4, almost 5 coats to be fully opaque. I probably would have preferred doing 5 coats, but at the end I just got sick and tired of trying to build this polish up, and I don't really like sheer polishes. I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of people really like sheer polishes, and I think if you like sheer polishes, you may like this one, but I don't know, I didn't really like it. And again, this one is a kind of unique color because it's not exactly a stark white polish. It has a little bit of like nude in here. And the closest dupe I could find to it is by OPI, and it's called Chiffon My Mind. The only difference between this one and the KL polish is that Chiffon My Mind has a very, very, very light iridescent pearl shimmer in here. Once you apply it on your nails, that pearl shimmer isn't as apparent, but color-wise, they're the exact same color. Formula-wise, I kind of prefer the Chiffon My Mind one a little bit better, even though it is also a semi-sheer polish, but I can at least build that one up in 3 coats versus the KL polish. I pretty much had to do 5 coats with that one. And then I do have one that's pretty similar in color. Not quite as light, but still pretty similar. It's more on like that milky color. And this one is from Wet n Wild. This is the One Step Wonder Gel or Gel Wonder, and this one's called Condensed Milk. This is drugstore. It's a little bit more attainable, and if you kind of want to try out one of those, you know, pale nudes or pale whites but not quite whites, I would kind of give this one a whirl. This one is pretty nice. It has a nice formula, and this one is opaque in like 2 coats as opposed to any of the other ones. So then the next polish in the collection, I was able to find a couple of polishes that were kind of similar to it. This one is called Pistachio Ice Cream, and that name is kind of a perfect description of this. This is like a pistachio green. I couldn't really find anything that had the same tone of green as this. So at first I compared it to Wasabi With You by Wet n Wild. This is the One Step Wonder, and this one definitely pulled a lot more yellow. It was a little bit more bright, kind of like not quite as bright as like China Glaze's you know, Grasses Lime Greener and all of those. Those were definitely a lot more intense than the KL polish. And then I compared it to Illamasqua's MILF. This one is definitely more of like a mint green versus the KL polish has a little bit of brown in it, which kind of, that's the reason why it pulls more towards that pistachio color. Really nice formula. This one was fully opaque in 2 coats. Quite honestly, it did pretty well for 1 coat, but I would definitely do 2 coats with this one. But very smooth formula. It didn't pool. I normally have issues with mint greens and how they build up and then being streaky and patchy, but but the KL Polish one is a very, very nice formula, and I think that color is very unique. I know a lot of people like mint green, so I definitely think that this one is going to be a very popular color because it's unlike any mint green that I have in my collection. And the last polish in the collection, even though it's my favorite because it is a blue, and this one's kind of like a periwinkle blue, it's called St. Clair. Even though this is an absolutely gorgeous polish with an absolutely gorgeous formula, it is one of the ones that I was able to find a lot of dupes for. And I just think that's because of the nature of this color. A lot of people like mint greens and a lot of people like these periwinkle blues. The closest that I could find to it, which I would say is an exact dupe, is from Pretty Serious. This one is called Can't Take the Sky. Can't Take the Sky is a one coater polish. However, it's a little bit more on the expensive side because it is an indie polish and because it is an international brand. So that being said, I do prefer the Pretty Serious polish because it is a one coater, but the KL polish formula is really nice. I was able to get this fully opaque in 2 coats. I don't think you really need 3 coats with that one. I think that one is a solid 2 coater. The next closest thing that I found to it was from Wet n Wild, and this is the One Step Wonder Gel or Gel Wonder, and this is called Periwinkle of an Eye, and I think that's a pretty close dupe. It is a little bit deeper of a blue. And then the last dupe that I found for it is from Trust Fund Beauty, which again is another kind of pricey brand, and this is called I Give Good Tweet. This one does have a very, very light silver shimmer in there, but it's not really as noticeable in the nail. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the KL Polish Spring Collection. I am going to continue buying her collections because I'm a huge fan of Kathleen and I'm trying to support her business. Obviously, I love nail polishes, so I don't mind purchasing these and adding these to my collection as like a collector's piece. But hopefully you guys found this video helpful again for some of you guys who were just looking at maybe buying 1 or 2 of the polishes in the collection. You kind of wanted to see what the formula was like or see what the colors were like. So again, hopefully some of you guys found this helpful. If you did, please give this a thumbs up, or at least if you found this entertaining, please give this a thumbs up. Please give this a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe. I am currently posting 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.